All right, guys, let's go through perfect competition and the characteristics and look at some other details. Okay, so we got characteristics. First one we want to look at is the number of firms, right? And the number of firms is a very large number, which means there are so many firms that one firm can influence the supply, positive or negative, to influence the price in the market, right? So that's what, when we say many, so many that they can influence the price. What type of product are we talking about? We're talking about a homogeneous product. We're talking about apples, oranges, tomatoes, carrots, all those things. We don't care where they came from. We don't care which farmer grew them, as long as they are safe for us and the price is right. Okay, so because they're homogeneous, that leads us to the next characteristic, control over price. Well, as a firm, if my product's the same as your product, or Bill's is the same as Bob's, then we are going to have no control over the price. That means all the farmers of apples or tomatoes will bring all those tomatoes to the market. That will be the overall supply of tomatoes. And then we will look at the demand for tomatoes, and equilibrium will determine the market price, which the firm will take. Right? We use the term price taker. The perfect competitor is a price taker. He takes the price from the market. What are the conditions of entry? They're very easy. There are no obstacles to get into farming, right? You need a piece of land and some seeds to put down and you can be in farming. Not like if you want to go into the car industry where you have to have a major outlay for factories and things like that, which would restrict your ability to get in. So you can get into the perfect competitive market very easily. Okay, next thing we want to look at is non-price competition. Well, if you can't tell the difference between my tomatoes and his tomatoes, then there's no point in me advertising that my tomatoes are better, because you can't tell which ones are mine, right? So there is no price competition, right? Examples are agriculture, like we've talked about. So what does it mean that the firm is a price taker? Well, here's what we have. Take a typical graph, right? We label up top market for tomatoes, quantity of tomatoes, put the price on the Y, quantity on the X, right? We draw our demand curve. Our demand curve for what? Tomatoes. Okay, so here is the demand. This is all the consumers that are willing to buy tomatoes at a range of prices. Then we're going to bring the supply in. Supply of what? Tomatoes. And this is the supply farmers are willing to bring to the market at the same range of prices that the consumers are looking at. And where they intersect, right, is equilibrium. So in this case, we have 100,000 pounds of tomatoes bringing to market during a time period. The price is $5, okay, which means this is the market price. All right, this is the price, the equilibrium price that the farmer, the firm, must accept to sell all of his products. Right? Could the farmer charge 6? He could, but no one would buy the product because everyone else is selling it for 5. All right. Let's look at the next question. How does selling a homogeneous good cause the firm to be a price taker? Because if you look here, these are two different farmers with identical tomatoes. Well, those tomatoes, we don't know the difference. Therefore, we're not willing to pay more like we might for another good. We're not willing to pay more for this product because it's the same as the other products. I can just get the other product. So the homogeneous good is what makes them a price taker also, right? Let's look at some numbers here for a second. So we have total revenue, right? We have total revenue is price times quantity. You've seen this when we talked about elasticity, right? Then we have average revenue, which is the revenue per unit, which is total revenue divided by quantity. Then we have marginal revenue, which is the extra revenue from one more unit of selling one more unit of the good, which is total revenue over the change in total revenue over the change in quantity. All right, let's put together a little chart to kind of look at those numbers for a second. So we're going to label across the top quantity, price, total revenue, marginal revenue, and average revenue. Quantity will be 1 through 5. So let's look at the price. The market said in that graph that we looked at that the price was $5. So if I'm going to sell one unit, I'm the farmer, I'm selling one unit, The market's told me the price is 5. Therefore, if I want to sell 2 units, the price is also going to be 5 because we are price takers. 3 units, same 5. 4, you're getting the point here, $5. And 5 units, $5 is the price. Okay, so you'll look at this and go, wow, the price is the same no matter what the quantity is. So I'm thinking, or you're thinking, this looks like a horizontal demand curve, right? The price stays the same. This is a horizontal demand curve. My economic scholars are saying, hold on, does that mean this is a perfectly elastic demand curve? And you would be correct. This is a perfectly elastic demand curve, so we would draw a horizontal line at 5. Straight across, I can sell as many as I want at that price. All right, now let's get the total revenue. Very simple. We take the Q, we times it by the P. So 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5, 10. Do I hear a 3 times 5? $15. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. That is our total revenue. Now, if I'm going to ask you anything in class, you only need these 3 charts to figure out all the other stuff, right? Because we said marginal revenue is the change in Q and the change in total revenue. Total revenue, change in total revenue divided by the change in total quantity. So let's look at this. Total revenue was 0 at 0 goods. We changed the quantity by 1, and the total revenue went up by 5, so the change in marginal revenue is 5. Then we went to 2 units, and total revenue changed by 5. Quantity changed by 1, which means marginal revenue is 5 again. Okay, so let's look at the third one. Well, again, because we are price takers and the price is 5, the total revenue changed by 5. The change in quantity was 1. That means change in, so the marginal revenue at 3 units is also 5. All right, 4 units, the change was 5. The units was, wait a second, 5 again. And if we do the last one, we get 5 again. So what have we discovered? The price and the marginal revenue are the same. Because it is horizontal, the change in quantity will give you the same change in total revenue. All right, now let's do average revenue, which is total revenue divided by the Q. So we go 5 over 1 gives us 5, right? But then if we go total revenue is 10 over the units is 2, 5 again. Then we go to 15 over 3. Oh my goodness, it's 5 again. 20 over 4. Too many 5s already. 5 again, and 25 over 5 is 5. So if I look at this, I notice that price is 5. I notice that marginal revenue is 5. Therefore, I can say price is equal to marginal revenue. But let's not forget average revenue, so we can say price is also equal to average revenue. Matter of fact, I might go as far as to say that price is equal to average revenue. Price is equal to marginal revenue, equal to average revenue, equal to demand. So price, MR, AR, and demand are all the same. Now let's go to the next thing. We talked about it being perfectly elastic demand, which means the firm can produce as much or as little as they want at the price the market sets. The demand graph, we demand graphs as horizontal line. Of course it does. It's perfectly elastic. Let's look at this graphically to see what we mean. Okay, so we have the market that we looked at earlier in the slide. And now we're going to draw the firm, right? We're going to put in the price of 5. The firm is a price taker. Okay, so we're going to put the price in, and we draw a horizontal line of $5. That is the marginal revenue, the price, the average revenue, and the demand curve. All horizontal at the price the market gave us, hence the price taker. And we have Mr. Pard, right? So I put my quantity, I put my price in there. Okay. This is the market on the left. This is the firm on the right. And now you've been introduced for the first of many times to the infamous side-by-side graph in perfect competition. They are side by side, the market and the firm, because the firm is a price taker, because they sell a homogeneous good, and they get their price from the market. All right, let's just look at that one other way. different graph. We have P equals MR, AR, D. I called you Mr. Pard, so that's what we have right here. Now, the last graph of the video is the total revenue graph. Interesting thing with the total revenue graph. If I go up from 0 to 5 and the change is 1, then I go over 1 more, but up another 5, over 1, up 5, over 1, up 5, we notice that the slope of the total revenue curve is constant. And we've talked about this before. The total curve slope is the marginal, right? Marginal revenue is the derivative of total revenue. And therefore, the slope, because it's horizontal, price takers, the slope of total revenue will be constant in this case, and in the case of every perfect competitor. Okay, all right, that's the video for today. We will pick up again on the next video, finish up perfect competition, and then move on to the exciting Monopoly. Have a good night.